Welcome to Digital Photo Intervention for assignments 5 and 7. The first thing that you need to do is download Gimp. You can do this at gimp.org. Second, get your camera or phone ready. 3, make sure you have your USB cord. If your camera doesn't have a USB cord, I'm not sure how you're going to get your pictures onto your computer, so you'd be better off using a phone. And 4, give me a green check when you've got all of that completed. While you wait, chat about a day in your life. Now that you've got all of your materials ready, let's talk about our objectives. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to submit your Units 5 and 7 assignments, and it should only take you about an hour to do so. I have a quick announcement. Check your email. I sent progress reports. I also realized that in that progress report, if you did the extra credit assignment, those points were not applied to your score. So I did fix that in the gradebook since. So please know that you can just add whatever those points are you got on that assignment to your total points, and that's what you really have. Let's talk about the Utah Visual Art Standards. We're looking at Standard 1, Making Today. This is where we assemble or create visual art by manipulating art media and by organizing images with the elements and principles. Today we're going to be doing that. We're exploring, understanding, and refining techniques of photography, and we'll be also getting into Gimp and learning how to do color balance. We'll also be using the rule of thirds, which is going to help us with the principles of design, creating a balanced, interesting, energetic image. We're also working on Standard 3, Expressing. So we want to create meaning in the visual art. So as you're thinking about a day in your life, be thinking of things that are meaningful to you, things that are symbolic of who you are. This is how we create content in visual art. You'll be contextualizing today, Standard 4. You will be aligning your works of art, your photographs. You'll be creating photographs according to your personal experience today. And then when we have an opportunity to look at other art, we'll be able to then, through this experience of having expressed our own symbols, we'll be able to critique other people's photographs and look for symbols of their personal experience in their life. Unit 5 assignment. What is an environmental photo? What do you think? Do you think an environmental photo is A, a picture of the environment, rural or urban, such as the cityscape, the mountains, or a lake? Or do you think it's B, a picture of a person in his or her usual environment, such as in their home or workplace, and typically illuminating the subject's life and surroundings? What do you think? Well, environmental photography is B. It's a picture of a person in his or her usual environment. Well, for the sake of this assignment, if you don't have a person handy, then take an environmental photograph of a doll or a pet or a stuffed animal. So what is the purpose of this assignment? It's to do an environmental photo shoot. And you're going to use a piece of white paper in your photo shoot to calibrate the color balance in Gimp. And I know this doesn't make sense now, but it will later. You're going to apply this color calibration to the other images in your photo shoot, and you're going to evaluate, did the calibration work? Why or why not? So here are the directions. Number 1, you're going to find a shady spot to set up a photo shoot of a person, stuffed animal, pet, doll, or whatever you can find for your subject. This is my son Brighton. And you're going to set your camera up on a tripod or set it on a surface where it will not move during the shoot. I found before the first time that I did this assignment, I didn't stay in the same place with my camera. I moved my camera around a bit to get different angles of the shot, and in doing so, my color calibration did not work. So I'm trying it, setting it on a surface and seeing if this time it works. Next, you're going to set your subject in one spot, and you're going to have him or her hold a piece of white paper. Keep it straight. Don't let the wind or anything like that bend it out of place, okay? And then take a picture. Next, you'll take the paper away and take 2 more pictures of your subject in this spot without moving the camera away from its original position. All right. So not too difficult. You can take more than 2 if you want to have more to choose from. But eventually you're just going to submit the 3 photos, 1 with the paper and 2 without the paper. Next, you're going to save your photos to your computer, and then you're going to open the image with the white piece of paper in Gimp. So this is what the Gimp program looks like. Now, how do I save images to my computer? Excellent question. There's a couple of ways to do that. One, you can plug your camera or phone into your computer via your USB port and find the pictures in your folders and then copy paste them to the digital folder you've created on your computer. Let me show you how that works now. Okay, so right now I am plugging my USB cord into my camera. And you might have to check your camera. There might be a message on your camera that is prompting you to use your camera or the computer as a device to view your files. So you'll have to go ahead and answer that prompt before you can see your pictures on your computer. This pops up for me. You might get a message in the corner that says it's downloading the software if it's the first time you've ever plugged it in. You can open your device and view your files here, or you can also do it down in your folders down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Open Device and View Files. And that's pretty nice because it already opens up my phone for me right here. I have the Galaxy Grand Prime phone. And I have 2 memory cards. You probably don't, but if you did, you'd have to figure out which card your phone is taking pictures on. I'm going to check here under DCIM camera and see if my pictures are there. And if they are, they're probably going to be at the very bottom because they'd be the last pictures that I took. Oh, except last night I went to Brighton's recital and I have some of his recital pictures. So I'm going to take the pictures that I took. These are my environmental shots right here. 1 with the paper and then the 2 without. And I'm just going to click and hold Shift. So if I click the first one, hold Shift and click the last one, it selects that first and last, then everything in between. You can also hold the Control button down and it will select or deselect them one at a time. Right click and go copy. And then over in my pictures, I have created a digital photo album, and I created a demo folder, and then I created an environmental picture folder. And I'm just going to right click on that folder and go paste, and that put my pictures inside. So I can open that up now, and you'll notice all of my pictures are sideways. But now that they're on my computer, I can fix that. When they were down here on my phone, I couldn't rotate those pictures. It wouldn't do that. You can only do that from your phone, not your computer. So now I can go ahead and double click, and it's going to open up my Windows Live Photo Gallery, and it has an option now for me to rotate it right. And when I do that, it's going to save that setting on the computer for me. And now I can just arrow to my next image, rotate it right, arrow to my next image and rotate it right. And now I'm done. I've got my pictures rotated so they're in the proper orientation. The next thing I need to do is save the pictures with a better name than 2017038_171350.jpg, right? That number doesn't really tell me anything. So I'm going to just right click on here and go rename. And I'm going to call this Brighton with paper. And then you can also just click one time and click again, and it will bring up the rename option. You don't double click fast, you just click, click. Okay, and so Brighton, chilling. Oh wait, this one, oh yeah, that was Brighton with the paper, okay. And Brighton, oh no, this one's Brighton chilling, but okay, Brighton smiling. So now I kind of know what each one of them are. They have meaning to me. So when I go to look them up later, you know, the name will actually have some significance. And also when you submit them to me, I see the names of your files. I don't see the actual pictures when I go to open your folder. So it's nice when it doesn't say 7065142, because that has absolutely no significance to me at all. Okay, so the other way to save your images to your computer if you don't have a USB cord is to use your phone to shoot the pictures and then email them to yourself. You can open your email and save them to your computer. All right, so let's show you what that looks like. I have Yahoo Mail. Just gonna click on my mailbox. I've had this account since like I don't even know what, 1993. So I get just tons of junk mail, and it doesn't matter how many times I try to like unsubscribe, I still get it. It just keeps selling my information over and over and over again. Okay, so I've got some pictures that I did of a photo shoot that I have emailed to myself. These ones are pretty fun. And they're just starting to come in. So this is for the example, if you don't have a person, you can use, you know, a doll. So I just happen to have this awesome little doll here, and there's my picture with my white paper, and there's my picture of my doll upside down. And this is the photo shoot that my calibration technique didn't work on because I was moving around. So that's when I got the idea to try the tripod. We'll see if that works. So you're just gonna right click on your pictures and you'll save image as. You'll find your digital photo folder that you created, and then you'll just save it into your environmental shot, and you can rename it right here as you're saving it. So this is doll, it's not dill, doll hanging off chair. And then I can double click on that, make sure that folder is open so that it goes in there, and click save. And then I would do that with the other images as well that I had emailed to myself. Before you delete your email, you just might want to make sure that they're there. Yes, it is, but it's out of orientation as well. So I might want to rotate this. There we go. And now it's correct. So once the images are saved, be sure to rename them so they don't look like this. And I've given you some sample names to give your pictures. Dog holding the card, .jpg, dog smiling, .jpg, dog eating a snack, .jpg. The next step in this assignment is to adjust the color balance. So in your GIMP, you're going to go to the menu item at the top that says color, and the drop down box you'll select color balance, and this dialog box is going to pop up for you. Now this paper has a little bit of a blue tint to it, and you have to take a really close eye, but you can see my cursor is white and the paper has a blue tint compared to my white cursor. So we're going to try to make it look more white or as gray scaled as possible. And then these settings right here that we get, so you'll notice I adjusted my cyan and red slider to the right a little bit to get a +2. I ended up adjusting towards the magenta, so that was a setting of -2, and my yellow, I hit my yellow a little harder, and when I move my slider to the left, that gives me a calibration of -8. So I get a piece of paper and I have a pencil and I jot down these numbers. Okay, so there's the top one is 2, the middle one is -2, and then the bottom one is -8. And I'm just gonna hold that handy. Now, I have calibrated, and what I did is I made it so that the left hand of my image was the original one, where I told you it had kind of a blue hue to it, and the right half of this is the image after my calibrations. So with getting that paper as white as I possibly could, or at least in a gray tone area, not tinted, it's going to be a truer reflection of the color as it is in real life. Okay, this image over here is going to have a little bit too much blue in it. Now you're going to open the other two images and you're going to apply the color balance settings that you wrote down to each of those images. All right, and then you'll save all 3 of those GIMP files, and you do that by going to the top menu and item file, and in the drop down box you do save as. You're going to rename it here. I renamed it Brighten with Paper, but you're going to make sure that you keep the .xcf extension on the end. If you don't have an extension on your file, no computer is going to be able to ever open it, not even your own. So if you do that to yourself, you lose all of your work. Okay? Make sure you have .xcf at the end. And then to the Dropbox folder, you're going to submit your 3 GIMP files to me, okay? Now, let me go ahead and I'm just going to go back and I'm going to demonstrate how to do this for you really quick. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is find GIMP, and it's not down here on my taskbar and it's not on my desktop, so I'm going to just, oh look, it's in here. But if it wasn't in there, you could just come down here to this little search box and find it, and then you can just click on it from there. Then once your GIMP is open, you're going to do File, Open, and I'm going to my pictures. Gonna find my digital photo folder with my demos, my environmental pictures, and I want Brighten with this paper. So get your image that has your paper first. You can zoom in if you want to. You can go View, Zoom, and you can fit the image to the window. Or I also recommend just grabbing this zoom tool right here. This is your toolbox. I'm gonna click on that, and it's set on zoom in, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Now when I go to calibrate it, I can see the white paper, it's a little more dominant. So to calibrate, I'm going to Colors, and here's that color balance. Now there's all kinds of other color adjustments in here. There's hue and saturation, there's colorize, there's brightness and contrast, there's threshold, levels, posterize, desaturate. There's lots of fun stuff in there, and you are welcome to play around with those tools and see how they impact your photographs. For right now, we're just going to be looking at the color balance. So what I ended up doing with mine is I brought mine over And you can play with the sliders and go, what happens when I go that way? Oh, it warms it up. Oh, that cools it down. Okay, you can reset it back to 0. And also, I should probably note, when you're using a program like Gimp, you want to make sure you don't have anything open on your desktop that if your computer crashed, you'd lose. So go and save everything. Like if you have a document open, save whatever you have on there. And you might want to close down and restart your computer before you start using Gimp if you have a sensitive computer. But a way to keep your computer healthy is to constantly save. So I'm just going to go over here and click Save As. And it's already putting the name of the photograph in there that I had saved that JPEG file as, Brighten with Paper. I don't need to even type anything in there, but if you forgot to change the name of your image earlier, then you can change it right now to whatever it is. And then notice the .xcf is there. That tells me that it's a GIMP file. And then I want to make sure it's in the right folder. Yep, it's in my pictures under the digital folder photo and my demos under my environmental photo. And I'm going to click save. Okay, so now I'm just going to remember that the shortcut for saving is Control S. I can either come up here and click save, or I can hit Control S and to constantly just save everything I do. Students, I'm just going to tell you, it's really hard to remember to save constantly when you first get started. It's a new habit that you're going to have to build. It breaks my heart when I have students tell me, I worked on my GIMP assignment for an hour and then my computer crashed and I lost it. Well, the reason why you lost it is because you never saved it. So if you continue to save everything that you've saved up to that point, if your computer crashes, it's going to save that much of your work. So it's worth your time to get into the habit of saving constantly. So going into color balance, let's go ahead, and the settings that I ended up coming up with were the +2, the -2, and -8. Remember how I wrote those down earlier? So I had already calibrated it. Let's look at the before and after. You can click this preview button. And once you've previewed it and you go, yep, I like that the best, then you're going to click OK. Now, I had a really hard time getting my paper to look pure white, but those settings were the best that I could come up with. So I'm going to go ahead and just go File, Save. And I'm done with that one. Okay. Now I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to grab, let's see, there's my GIMP file. I'm going to grab Bright and Smiling and open that one. And now I'm just going to apply, I'm going to save this one right away. Save as Bright and Smiling.xcf. And I'm going up to Colors, Color Balance, and I'm going to set those calibrations to +2, -2, and -8. Okay, and you can do a preview if you want to. That's before and after, and I definitely think it's a lot warmer and less blue after, so I'm going to click OK. And save. Remember, you have to save when you're all done with all your changes. If you don't, you're going to be submitting your work without your work. So you've got to click Save. Now go ahead and File, Open, and we'll find Bright and Chilling. Open that up. I'm going to go to Image, Colors, Color Balance, set my calibrations to what I had before, and it works great. So I can do a preview and see what it looked like before and after and make sure that the settings worked. And this is where that evaluating part comes in. I'll show you an example of when they don't work. All right, and then click Save. It's already got the name. Perfect. So I'm done. Well, for me, this calibration worked great. And the reason why is because I had my, I'm going to zoom this out. I'm going to go View, Zoom, Fit Page. The reason why my calibration worked, in my opinion, is because I did not move my camera. I kept it right there on that little paint bucket that I had, and because it didn't move, the conditions under which I shot my picture didn't move at all either. Here's a situation where the calibration might not work. So I don't have good color calibration. Let's say that I set this to like, I was like, oh, I think it goes, you know, let's say a negative, maybe about -8. I like that. My paper's white there, my whites are white. So let's say I go with that calibration, 0, 0, -8. Well, when I come over to open up my doll upside down, or my doll hanging off the chair, let's go ahead and apply a -8 here and see what happens to the image. Do you like it in that image? It's kind of, okay, let's try the doll upside down. Let's just apply a -8. Okay, so I think that what I'm trying to get at is that it might look a little too yellow, and so I'm going to do Control Z, and now you can see that it's gray again. Yellow, gray. So you want to calibrate your colors so that when you go to put them on your other images, they don't make the other images look yellow. And so that's what I meant by evaluate the process. Do you need to go back and recalibrate it, or does every image need to kind of have its own calibration? Do you need to make adjustments to each of the images so that they don't look too yellow or too blue or too green? Once you are finished calibrating your 3 images, their color balance, and saved them as GIMP files with the extension .xcf, then you can come into the Unit 5 folder and find the Dropbox. Click on the Dropbox, and since I'm a teacher, it doesn't prompt me to upload files here, but yours will have a prompt to upload. You'll upload your 3 images, 1 that has the paper, 2 without the paper. Okay, so next is the Unit 7 assignment. This assignment's purpose is to create a photo shoot of a day in your life. So I want you to think about and identify people, places, things, or events that define who you are on a day-to-day basis. And you're also going to learn to use the rule of thirds while taking pictures of these symbols of who you are. So these are the directions. Number 1, you're going to take at least 3 pictures of people, places, things, or events in your life. So here's my 3 pictures. 1, 2, 3. You're going to use the rule of thirds when you take your pictures. So as I was shooting in my head, I mentally put these thirds lines in my mind. I visualized where are the thirds. This is really easy to demonstrate. You can just Google rule of thirds and go to images, and it will pull up lots of examples of the rule of thirds for you. I love this image right here of the butterfly. You can see that the canvas has been divided into thirds. So this is a third, this is the top third, the middle third, the bottom third, this is the left third, the middle third, and the right third when you're looking at it vertically. Notice that they've got like this little spot right here lined up with the thirds lined. They've got the butterfly lined up with the thirds. They've got the heaviest part of that butterfly lined up at the point where these intersect. So when you line up with the lines or at these points, it creates a very strong composition. It's very interesting versus something that's just centered. Notice the lighthouse is aligned with the thirds line. Notice in this image right here, we've got the sky taking up the top third of the image, the mountains taking up the middle third, and the land taking up the bottom third. And we've got this javelin thrower who's running right into the point where those thirds intersect. So do you understand the law of thirds? Here's another image. We've got the horizon line lining up. So you generally don't want your horizon line in the middle of your shot. Make sure your horizon line is either lining up with the top third or the bottom third. And then notice the subject goes right along that third's line. Here we have it again. Our subject right along the third's line. That horizon point right here where the tops of the grass kind of touch that third line there. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So when you're shooting, just be thinking about making your composition follow the rule of thirds. There's the horizon line on that top third. You can also have a situation where your horizon line is on the bottom third. Okay, so I think you get that. And then we're going to go ahead and open these images up in Gimp, and then we'll crop and we'll adjust the contrast, and then we'll save those and submit them. So let me show you what to do once you're in Gimp. So I'm in my digital photo folder and I've got my demos, and I have my environmental assignment. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this one my rule of thirds, day in the life. And I'm going to use that folder to save my work from my Galaxy Prime. I know those pictures are all the way at the bottom. And there they are. One, hold my shift to the last one, right click, copy. You can hold control down if you want to pick them one at a time. And go into my pictures, digital photo, demo, rule of thirds, and right click, paste. I need to open them up and make sure that they're oriented correctly. So I'm gonna rotate that one to the right. I'm going to rotate that one to the right. And now they are in the correct orientation. Next, I'm going to open Gimp. And I'm going to go File, Open, and this time I'm not looking under my environmental photos. I'm looking for my Rule of Thirds folder, and I can just go ahead and start with this one. Now the cropping tool looks like an X-Acto knife, and if you hover your cursor over it, it will say Crop Tool. So I'm going to click on that cropping tool, and then I kind of get this knife action. So just envisioning where my thirds are at, if I wanted to set some guides, I could just drag these over. If I was feeling like, I really want to be precise about this, you can actually grab some guides. You just are clicking and dragging down. That's all you're doing, nothing fancy. You're just gonna have to move them around where it looks like they're thirds. So I don't know if that's true thirds or not, but maybe I'm feeling like, where do I want my thirds to line up? I kind of like it lining up right there. And does it look like everything else is following the rule of thirds as well? I feel pretty satisfied with it, but if I didn't and I felt like I needed to crop it, then I could just grab this and come over and drag it wherever I wanted to create that cropping effect. And then once I have drawn that, I can adjust the corners by dragging them around. So maybe I want to get it more close up and intimate. Maybe I like the idea of keeping that big picture up at the top. I'm worried if I crop it too low, then I don't get to see the tree that's in it. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe just crop a little bit off of that one side. And now that I like where it's at, I just click in the middle, click, and it cropped the edge off. Remember, if you don't like something, just hit Control Z to undo, Control Y will redo. Okay, so I'm pretty pleased with that composition, and I'm just going to go ahead and go File, Save As, and let's type in Eva and Jason, rule of thirds. Okay, and then make sure it's in the right folder. It's got your extension .xcf and click Save. Okay, do I want to get rid of my lines there? Let's see if I can. It says show guide, so I can click that, and now it doesn't show the guide. So that's under View, and there's a Shift Control T if you can remember that. Otherwise, I can show my guides again if I want to, or I can go View, Don't Show Guides. Okay, so gonna click Save one more time so that my guides aren't saved on there. So when Mrs. Girot opens that up, this is what she sees. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you that you can do in here to make your photo more interesting, and that's the brightness and contrast tool. You could do some color balancing if you wanted to. If you felt like your picture was too red or too blue, you can adjust your color balance like we did in the last assignment. But brightness and contrast is something that I recommend that you always do to every single photo. You can increase your brightness if it's too dark. You can make it a little darker if you feel like it was too light. But the coolest part is this contrast. So this, if you go to the left, you're having less contrast. Notice the number becomes negative. And as you go to the right, you get more contrast. What is contrast? That is the difference between pure blacks and pure whites in your image. So you'll notice that my blacks got blacker and my whites got whiter. And that creates contrast. Don't you love contrast? Look at it without the contrast. There's where we started. There's where we ended. Oh, that is gorgeous. Do you see that visual snap? That's lovely. Play around with your brightness, your lightness, and your contrast, and find a spot where you can really see the details. I want to be able to see those details in the fireplace inside. So just juggle it around. It's a balancing game. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and click. You've got a preview button too, so you can see before and after. Oh, love it. And I might have too much contrast, but you know, that's my personal preference. I have a flair for the dramatic. So I'm gonna click OK. And then I'm gonna go File. Do I already have this one saved? Yes, I do. At the top it says Evan Jason Rule of Thirds.xcf. That's the file name, so I can just go File, Save. Okay, done with that one. I'm gonna go ahead and open my next image. Oh, I forgot to name them. Can you believe that? So good thing I have this little thumbnail preview over here so I could find them. Otherwise I wouldn't know what they were. I'm gonna go ahead and do my aloe vera plant. This was a gift from my husband, and he gives me lots of gifts. And then next to my gift from my husband is a gift that my son made. My husband makes glass and teaches us how to do it. But this was a nice little serving tray that Brighton made for Jason for Christmas. So I've got these two gifts here, and I think that gifts are a big part of our family. We like to give each other gifts, and homemade gifts and just simple gifts are nice. So I'm gonna grab my X-Acto knife over here, and I didn't feel like I was completely following the rule of thirds. I want this bottom part to be in line with it. So I think in order to get that effect, I'm also gonna crop out some of this. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I don't like losing the height. For some reason, I want to keep the height. I don't. What do you think? What would you do with it? It's not exactly following the rule of thirds. I like tall images. I'm going with that. Okay, so there's my cropped image. I can hit Control Z. There's the before, Control Y. There's the after. Like the way it kind of hugs in on my subject matter a little bit more. And I can see the rule of thirds here. If I just want to bring these out, I mean, it's in effect. It's not perfect, but I think like I've got the top of the couch and the tip of this table kind of lined up with the thirds. My plant is lined up a little bit. This tray is lined up. So it's not looking too bad. And then I'm going to go ahead and go View. Don't show the grids anymore. And then File, Save. Oh, I hadn't saved it yet. So this is my aloe plant, rule of thirds. And then Save. And then the last thing you want to do is color, brightness and contrast, and adjust that contrast so you get your snap. See where that's at? You're going to scroll down to Unit 7, and then you'll find the drop box, click on it, and there will be an upload button here, and you just upload the Gimp files, the .xcf files. There should be 3 of them that show me a date in your life. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your photo shoot.